All right, let's kick off another deep dive. Today, we're tackling something super practical, something we all deal with every single day at work. Communication.
Communication.
And not just any communication. We're talking about how to really nail it, how to write those emails that actually get read, the ones that get responses. And meetings, oh man, meetings.
Yeah.
How to make those meetings actually productive, not the kind that makes you want to just disappear.
Right.
And here's the thing. We're getting some pretty awesome insights from a kind of surprising place.
Okay.
We're looking at a podcast episode all about, get this, how to teach business English.
Interesting. So, what can we learn from that?
Well, that's what I thought, too.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because when you think about it, people learning English as a second language, they often get these super clear, structured communication strategies, like back to basics.
It's like you have the cheat sheet.
Exactly. And sometimes we native speakers, we kind of forget those fundamentals. We just assume everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, we take it for granted.
Totally. So let's dive into email first because, email, right? It's like this necessary evil. But the source material, they have this super simple email structure that I actually think is brilliant.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Subject, greeting, body, closing, signature. Sounds obvious, right? But they really break down why each piece is so important.
Well, yeah, especially that subject line. I mean, think about it. Our inboxes are flooded. If your subject line doesn't immediately grab someone's attention and tell them what's up,
It's game over.
pretty much.
And they give this great example subject line. Project update. Week 3 progress. What do you think makes that so effective?
Well, it's straight to the point.
Yeah.
No fluff.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're getting into. Is it good news, bad news? What project is it?
Right.
And that clarity, it actually makes people more likely to open it and open it right then.
Because they know they're not going to get sucked into some long, rambling email. Okay, so the subject line gets them to open it, but what about the actual content?
Content is king.
Right. Like, we've all gotten those emails that are like reading a novel, and not a good one.
Definitely.
The source material really emphasizes tone, especially when things aren't going perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Tone is everything.
Because even if you have to deliver bad news, right, or there's been a delay or something, how you phrase things makes all the difference. In this podcast episode, they're all about being positive and solution-oriented.
So, no doom and gloom.
Right. Like, even if things are kind of a mess behind the scenes, the email doesn't sound like a blame game. It's more like,
Okay, how can we fix this?
exactly.
Love that.
They actually have this whole example email where there's been a delay on a task. But instead of freaking out, they lay out the situation, explain what they're doing about it, and give a clear time frame for when things will be back on track.
Okay, so it's like taking ownership, showing you're on top of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And reassuring the recipient that, yeah, there was a hiccup, but we're handling it.
That makes sense. So you build trust that way.
Right. And let's be honest, it makes you look way more competent than just panicking.
For sure. Nobody wants to work with someone who falls apart when things get tough. All right, so we've nailed down email etiquette.
Got it.
But what about meetings? I mean, those can be a whole other beast.
Oh, tell me about it. I think everyone has a meeting horror story.
Oh, yeah.
But the source material, they use this role play to show what effective meeting behavior looks like. Have you ever done role playing for communication?
You know, I have. It's funny because it can be so awkward,
Right.
but it's also super helpful.
Yeah, you can kind of try out different things in a safe space.
Mm.
So in this role play, what are some of the key takeaways?
Well, first off, the meeting host, they start with a really clear agenda, like crystal clear. What are we talking about today? What are the goals? And then they invite people to add anything else.
Everyone knows what to expect.
Yeah, it sets the stage.
Yeah.
And then, just as important, the host keeps things on track. You know, we've all been in those meetings that just go off on tangents.
Oh, yeah.
And then nothing gets done.
It's like a meeting black hole. Time and productivity just disappear.
Exactly. But in this role play, the host keeps things focused. And then you have the team member.
Okay, what do they do?
They're like the model meeting participant.
Mm.
They actively participate. If they have something to add, they raise their hand, they wait their turn, they give a concise update on their project.
So it's like they're engaged, they're contributing, but they're not hijacking the conversation.
Exactly. And here's another thing. Both the host and the team member use clear professional language, no jargon, no rambling, just getting to the point.
And that makes a difference.
It really does. It makes the whole meeting smoother and more efficient. Because we're all busy.
Yeah, let's not waste time. Okay, so we've got clear agendas, concise contributions, but sometimes, let's be real, you need a little extra help navigating those tricky meeting moments.
It's like when you need to interrupt someone politely.
Right.
Or bring the conversation back on track.
Exactly. And the source material, they talk about these power phrases. Are those like a real thing?
Oh, they are definitely a thing, but not in like a cheesy or manipulative way.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to be that person.
No, not at all. Think of them as tools. Tools to make your message clearer, to connect with people better, and to just make the whole communication process smoother.
I like that. Tools.
Yeah, tools.
So for emails, they give examples like, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to follow up on. Please let me know if you have any questions. And looking forward to your response.
And each of those phrases, it's like it's strategically placed to achieve something. Like, I hope this email finds you well. It's quick, but it establishes a connection, sets a nice tone.
It's like you're acknowledging them as a human.
Right. And then I'm writing to follow up on.
Straight to the point.
Yep. No one's left wondering what you want. And then you have, please let me know if you have any questions. Looking forward to your response. Those are all about encouraging them to engage.
And telling them exactly what you need from them.
Yes. No more email ping pong, going back and forth a million times.
Yeah. Okay. I see how that works. So what about for meetings? What kind of power phrases are we talking about there?
Well, they have some great ones like, could you clarify that point? Let's circle back to that topic later. Does anyone have additional feedback? Thank you for your input.
Okay. I'm already seeing how those could come in handy. Like, could you clarify that point?
That's a good one.
Because sometimes someone will say something, you're like, wait, what?
Exactly.
But you don't want to be rude.
Right. And that phrase, it's a way to make sure everyone's on the same page without being accusatory.
It's like, hey, help me understand.
Right. And then let's circle back to that topic later. That's key for keeping things on track. Someone brings up something interesting, but it's not the main focus right now.
So you acknowledge it without derailing the whole meeting.
Exactly. It's like a mental bookmark. You're saying, we hear you, it's important, let's come back to it.
I love that. Mental bookmark. Okay, and what about the other two? Does anyone have additional feedback? And thank you for your input. What are those doing?
Well, does anyone have additional feedback? That one's all about making sure everyone has a chance to contribute. Because sometimes, you get those quieter people in a meeting who might not feel comfortable jumping in.
Right, so it's like you're creating a space for them.
Exactly. And then, thank you for your input. It's simple, but it goes a long way. It shows appreciation. It encourages people to keep sharing their ideas.
It's like you're saying, I value what you have to say. Okay, this is all gold. I'm already thinking about all the ways I can use these power phrases. It's like you're subtly guiding the conversation.
You are.
But without being like bossy or controlling about it.
Exactly.
You're just setting the tone for a more respectful, productive exchange.
I love that. You're setting the tone. It's so true.
And it works for emails and meetings.
Both. It's all about being intentional with your language.
Okay, I'm ready to put this knowledge to work. Let's do it.
So let's say you're in a meeting and someone's explaining this new idea, but it's kind of vague. You're not really sure what they mean.
It happens all the time.
Instead of just like nodding along and hoping it'll make sense later, you can use that power phrase.
Which one?
Could you clarify that point?
Oh, that's good.
It not only helps you understand, but it shows that you're engaged.
Right.
And it helps everyone in the room get on the same page.
Because sometimes people are so deep in their own ideas, they don't realize it's not clear to other people.
Exactly. It's like a gentle nudge to bring everyone back to clarity.
I like that gentle nudge. Okay, what about those times when you need to interrupt?
Ooh, yeah.
But you don't want to be rude.
The art of the graceful interruption.
Yes.
That's where, let's circle back to that topic later, comes in handy.
Right.
It acknowledges the new point without derailing the entire meeting.
Right.
It's like a mental bookmark. You're saying, hey, we see you, we hear you, let's park it for now and come back to it.
Mental bookmark.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so that's for like side topics.
Uh-huh.
But how do you handle those situations where everyone's talking over each other? It's just chaos.
Yeah, the source material had some really good tips for that.
Okay, tell me.
It's all about facilitating balanced participation. And that phrase, does anyone have additional feedback, is key.
Okay.
It opens the floor to those who might be a little hesitant to jump in.
Right, like the quieter folks.
Exactly. And it ensures that everyone has a chance to contribute.
Yeah, because it's so easy to accidentally talk over someone who's just taking a moment to gather their thoughts.
It happens all the time, especially in a fast-paced environment.
Totally. And then when someone does share a simple, thank you for your input, can go a long way.
Huge.
Shows appreciation and encourages more participation.
It's a small gesture, but it makes a difference.
It creates a more inclusive atmosphere for sure. So it's like these power phrases are a way to subtly guide the conversation
You are.
without being controlling.
Exactly.
You're setting the tone, but in a way that's respectful.
I love that you're setting the tone for a more productive exchange.
Yes, and it works for emails and meetings.
It does. It's all about being intentional with your language.
Okay, so we've talked about the why behind these techniques,
Yes.
but how do we actually make them a habit?
Well, a good starting point is just being more aware of your communication patterns.
Okay.
Notice the phrases you tend to overuse and consciously try to swap them out with some of these more powerful alternatives.
So it's like catching yourself when you're on autopilot
Yes.
and making a choice to use language that's more effective.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Pay attention to how other people communicate,
Ooh, good idea.
especially those who you consider to be strong communicators.
Right.
What phrases do they use that seem to resonate with people?
You can learn by example.
Exactly. It's like having a real-life communication mentor right there in the meeting.
I like that, steal their secrets.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try out different phrases in different situations. See what works best for you.
So find what feels natural.
Yes, and most importantly, have fun with it. The more you practice, the more natural it will become.
Okay, so we've gone from theory to action. But here's a question I've always wondered about these power phrases.
Okay.
Is there ever a time when they can backfire?
That's a great question.
Like, is there a risk of sounding too formal?
Yeah, or scripted.
Right, exactly.
That's a really good point. And it goes back to authenticity.
Okay.
You want to use these phrases effectively, but you still want to sound like you.
So how do you find that balance?
It's about being mindful of your audience and the context.
Okay.
Like if you're in a super casual meeting with your team,
Uh-huh.
you probably don't need to use these phrases as much.
Right.
But in a more formal setting or when you're talking to someone you don't know as well,
Yeah.
these phrases can help establish a professional tone.
So it's like different communication styles for different situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't wear a ball gown to a backyard barbecue, right?
True. Very true.
Same principle applies to communication. You choose the style that's appropriate.
Okay. Be mindful, be adaptable, and be yourself.
I love it.
There you go.
Hmm.
What else can we do to really solidify these habits?
One thing that really helps is to actively reflect on your communication after those key interactions.
Oh, interesting.
Like, think about what went well, what could have been better, and how you might use those power phrases differently next time.
So it's like a post-game analysis for your communication skills.
Exactly.
I like that. What would be an example of that?
Let's say you had a meeting where you felt like you got talked over a lot.
Yeah.
Take a few minutes afterward to think about why that happened. Did you not speak up clearly enough?
Yep.
Did someone else dominate the conversation? Could you have used a phrase like, I'd like to add to that, to interject more effectively?
That's a great example. It's so easy to just brush those things off and move on, but taking a minute to reflect can really help.
It can, and over time, those small adjustments can make a big difference in how you communicate and how others perceive you.
So we've gone from understanding the power of language to mastering these subtle phrases that can make a big impact.
We have.
But how do we avoid sounding like we're just reading from a script?
That's where practice comes in. The more you use these phrases in different contexts, the more natural they'll become.
Okay.
And as you get more comfortable, you can start to adapt them, play with them, even come up with your own variations.
So it's like learning a new song. At first, you're just trying to hit the right notes.
Yeah.
But eventually, you can add your own flair.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between using proven techniques and letting your own personality shine through.
This is all so insightful. I feel like I'm finally cracking the code to communication mastery,
Me too.
but I'm also realizing that this is an ongoing journey.
It is.
There's always room for improvement.
Absolutely. Communication is a dynamic skill, and the best communicators are always learning and adapting.
So what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with, something that will really stick with them?
Here's a question to ponder. What if instead of viewing communication as just a skill,
Yeah.
you viewed it as a superpower?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Superpower. I love that. It's like communication isn't just something we have to do.
Right.
It's something we get to do. It's a tool.
It is a tool.
Yeah.
And a powerful one.
So instead of dreading those tough conversations or those emails that you just don't want to write,
Yeah.
you're thinking, okay, how can I use this superpower?
Yes. And I think when you approach communication with that mindset, you're more likely to actually listen to the other person.
Oh, for sure.
You're thinking about what they're saying, you're
Yeah.
considering different perspectives, and you're looking for solutions that actually work for everyone.
It's like you're not just trying to get your own point across.
Right.
You're actually trying to understand where the other person's coming from.
Exactly. And sometimes that means putting your own ego aside, really making an effort to see things from their point of view.
Even if you don't agree with them.
Yeah. Because making that effort, it builds trust.
It does. Okay, so we've talked about the power of language. We've talked about these phrases that can make a big difference. And now this idea of communication as a superpower.
A superpower.
Where do we go from here? Like,
Mm.
how do we make all this part of our everyday lives?
Well, I think it starts with just paying attention to how you're communicating right now. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where are those moments where you could be more intentional or more effective?
So it's like taking inventory.
Yes, taking inventory. And then it's about practice.
Of course, practice.
Practicing those new skills, those power phrases, really embodying that mindset shift.
And not being afraid to experiment.
Exactly.
Right.
Try things out. See what works for you.
It's a journey,
It is.
not a destination.
Communication is a dynamic skill, and the best communicators are always learning, always adapting, always refining their approach.
So be patient.
Be patient, celebrate your progress, and enjoy the process.
This has been awesome. I feel like I have this whole new set of tools
Too.
to really level up my communication game.
And remember, you already have everything you need to be a powerful communicator.
Oh, that's a good reminder.
It's just a matter of tapping into that potential and using it with intention.
So, to everyone listening, you have a superpower. Use it wisely. Use it well.
Okay, go make some magic happen.
Yes. That's a wrap on another deep dive. Thanks for joining us.